I'm Joanna, the community educator at Day One. Day One is an organization in New York City that works with young people 24 years and younger on the topics of intimate partner violence. We provide, what do we provide? I got this. We provide legal services. We also provide supportive services such as counseling and preventative services. So as a community educator, I provide workshops in schools throughout New York City. Today, for our second video in our domestic violence series for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we're going to be talking about what intimate partner violence is, and I'm going to define the different types of abuses that can play into abusive relationships and give examples. We're going to start with physical abuse. When we have talked about physical abuse in the past, I'm sure we've heard hitting, slapping as forms of being physically abusive, but there are other ways that physical abuse can appear in a relationship. So I want to talk about one that doesn't get as much attention, which is preventing access to an object or to space. And what I mean by preventing access is maybe not allowing someone to go into a room that they want to go to or leave a room that they want to leave, not allowing them to go home when they want to go home. And it could also look like preventing access to an object. So that could look like not allowing someone access to the medication that they need, like an inhaler, or not allowing them to get their phone or something. And when we're talking about these things, remember that it's an aspect of power and control. So even as simple as those two examples might seem, it's one person trying to have power and control. The next one is financial abuse. I have jeopardized school or work. So that means not allowing someone to go to school or jeopardizing their schoolwork or their job at the moment, because that prevents a paycheck or that could be costing someone's tuition, so that is financially abusive. Okay, next we're gonna do emotional, verbal, and mental abuse. I have these three together because they start falling into one another a lot, so it's a lot easier to think of these three as interconnected. A lot of these abuses look interconnected, but these three especially. The first one I have is threats. Threats is verbally abusive because it's verbally communicated, and that can be a threat to the person's harm or harming themselves. It can also be threatening to out a person in the relationship, which happens a lot in LGBTQ couples. Then we have put downs. Put downs can be all three. It is verbally abusive because it's verbally communicated, but it is emotionally abusive because it has an emotional toll, while it could also be mentally abusive because it can be picking at someone's insecurities or building insecurities for them. Then we have blame shifting. We're gonna put it under emotional actually. So that again could be verbally abusive, emotionally abusive, and mentally abusive, but it looks like telling someone, this is your fault, it's not my fault. It's blaming the person for the abuse that they're receiving. So it could look like, well, I wouldn't have to hit you if you listened to me, right? So that person just made it the victim or survivor's fault for the abuse that they're receiving. And last, we have gaslighting, which we'll put under mental abuse. Gaslighting is a term that means when you're trying to make someone feel like they're kind of losing it, or they're not too sure of themselves anymore. So it could look like someone saying, why did you take my notebook? But they know that the person didn't take their notebook. To build that insecurity with them and make them feel like, wait, did I take that notebook? Am I losing it? Am I forgetting what really happened? And now I'm dependent on someone else's interpretation of events. Next, we have sexual abuse. The example I have is pressuring or forcing to have sex. That could look like coercing someone into having sex. So pressuring them and forcing them by saying, if you love me, then you would do this for me, right? We're guilting them into doing what we want, so that's a type of pressure. It could be forced through threats. It could be forced by physically forcing them to do any sexual act that they don't want to do, or to have sex with the person, or to have sex with other people. And the last one we have is technological abuse. This one in general is forgotten a lot of times in the conversation, but has become really important as we talk about young people experiencing dating abuse, because technology has become such an ingrained part of our lives. So the example I have is excessive calls or texts And I put etc. because it could also mean maybe social media posts, emails. But when I'm talking about excessive, it's a way of interrupting someone's life, right? It's calling or texting and not allowing the person to do what they need to do throughout the day. Maybe it's interrupting their daily routines. There's probably a lot of checking in. So where are you at? Who are you with? Where are you going? Why are you answering me? Right? Those text messages that we probably don't like getting all the time. So those are the different types of abuses, and we kind of just went through those examples. But I just want to stress that these things can look differently in all relationships. So it might not play out in the same example that I just gave you, but it just gives us an idea. So please submit questions, any opinions, thoughts that you might have at this website. If you want to do it anonymously, you can also just comment below and with any questions that you might have. I do want to note that one of the reasons that when you post a comment, it doesn't appear right away is because we do have approval option on, just because we want to make sure that this is a space where everyone can talk openly without the fear that someone's going to say something hateful or mean, because we don't want to have that space on our channel. So next week we're going to be talking about why a person in an abusive relationship might not leave right away. What are the barriers to leaving and getting help, especially when we're talking about people between the ages of 16 to 24 or even younger. So please submit your questions. Thank you for watching.